This is Brad Montgomery. Welcome to the Successful, Interesting, and Awesome podcast, where I interview people who are, wait for it, successful, interesting, and awesome. Or at least one of those three. Hey everybody, I love this podcast for so many reasons. But I don't mind telling you that one of them is sometimes I can use the podcast as an excuse to call somebody I really admire but don't know and say, basically, I want to know you. And then we get to record it and you listen to it. This podcast is like the poster child for that theme. I am literally currently working on a song. I'm a drummer. I'm really passionate about drumming. I've been drumming since I was a little kid. At one point, I thought I was going to be a professional drummer. But because of COVID, I've been playing drums so much. I have never been better at drums, and it's been so fun. That's one of the bright spots, is I just have a lot of time to learn and practice. And right now, I'm learning and practicing this song called Chick's Pain by a guy named Mathieu Fiset. What that means in a practical thing is I have been listening to this song over and over again, and not just listening, I'm like studying it. And then I'm listening to the drum part. And I'm not just listening, I'm studying it. And then practicing it. So I've spent hours with this song, which makes me feel like I spent hours with the composer. You know where I'm going now. I got lucky because I contacted the composer and I said, would you be willing? And he's joining us on our podcast. So this guy is from Quebec City. Couldn't have been a more charming individual. He couldn't have been more generous. And I just love hearing about his journey, because being a jazz musician is difficult. It's hard to earn a living as a jazz musician. And wait till you hear the different things he does to make that work. And then wait till you hear kind of the serendipity that happened for him to be discovered by drummers like me. Because there's a story behind that. A lot of drummers like me are learning his song, and then that was the gateway into his band. Like, the stuff he's putting out, I'd love. So anyway, how would it be? Can you imagine being able to call up somebody you're a total fan of and say, tell me everything? Well, that's exactly what this conversation is. So join me as I interview Mathieu Fiset. This guy is a rock star in every way, even though he's a jazz and fusion and funk guy. What a fun interview. I can't wait for you to hear it. What's up, everybody? It's Brad Montgomery. I've missed you. It has been a while, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I've had COVID. 3 shots, still got COVID. Really grateful for those shots because it hasn't been that bad. But I'm telling you, it hadn't been that good either. If you have a choice, don't get COVID. For my first post-COVID interview, I am super stoked because I'm kind of a fanboy on this guy. I feel like I just met him, and then the more I learn about him and go nuts, the more I realize, oh, this guy is just the bomb. I am a amateur jazz drummer, and I found this guy kind of by accident. Please welcome to your bedroom. I'm not judging. I don't know, your kitchen, your home office, wherever you are. This is Mathieu Fiset. Mathieu, say hey. Say hey.
Hey. Hello.
All right, so you're a musician. When you're describing, I'm sure, well, that's one of the questions. People meet you at a party. Oh, you're a musician. What do you do? How do you describe your music and your job?
How I describe my music? Well, the music I write, I think it's jazz. But that's broad. So
Yeah.
I guess it touches a little bit of everything that jazz brought. Like, of course, there's jazz and blues, right. But then you go to funk, and if you go modern, there's even hip-hop. Like, hip-hop is kind of, from funk and R&B, which come from jazz. So, yeah, all kinds of jazz-related styles of music. That's what I like to do. But I also love rock and progressive metal and electronic music. So, yeah, all of this blends into what I do.
Yeah, when I hear you, I hear Latin, and I hear definitely jazz, but I hear funk and kind of almost some world music, sort of, maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah. and then it depends on, what album are we talking about, what song even we are talking about, because from song to song, and definitely from album to album, it's a different sound and different style.
Right.
I like to not bore myself or bore the public, but mostly myself, with the same kind of music all the time.
All right. I want to go back to that because that's really interesting. Because yeah, there's a lot. I have a million questions, but can we just get into like how in the world does a little kid who probably took piano lessons? That's your
Mhm.
main instrument, I think, keyboard.
Piano is my yeah. Piano and keyboards that's my first instrument. Then drums, closely second.
Yeah, when I read that you were a drummer, I kind of wanted to hate you a little bit because I'm like, how can he be this good at keyboards and be a drummer? It's not fair. How does a little kid who starts out in music end up being an actual professional musician? What's that journey like?
It's a lot of determination, and I would say even stubbornness, and it's a lot of work. You got to practice to get good, and you got to practice even when you think it's not going anywhere, because sometimes, like, the each steps of the ladder can be really hard to reach.
Right.
But I've done, like, I've started playing piano at 4 years old, and I never stopped really. And I took piano lessons. I took private lessons, and just online stuff.
Right.
YouTube is full of interesting music knowledge, and listening to a lot of styles of music, and hanging out with different kind of people that listen to kind of music, and playing different kinds of music. And when I was just just starting to be an adult, and starting to get paid playing music, I was doing everything I could. I was saying yes to everybody, and I ended up playing with maybe 10 bands at the same time, and none of them would pay a lot of money, but that's how you start.
Right.
And it goes with experience, and then there's opportunities that arrives, but you have to be ready for those opportunities. And so, to be successful in music is basically a combination of being lucky, but also being ready for your luck. Um, so, if to be ready for your luck, you need to practice and work, and learn, and just do it. You know.
I've interviewed other creative types on this podcast, and it seems like, to oversimplify, Matthew, uh, there's two types. Some of them are little kids, and just it's obvious they're going to be in this creative industry. Like there's
Mhm.
never a doubt. And then there's other people who have that moment where they have to say, like, no, I don't want a real job. I'm making this leap. This might be a tough life. I don't know, but I'm doing it. Are you in one of those camps?
I'm definitely in the camp that once I decided I wanted to be a professional musician, there was no other option. There was nothing else I could do, and really, in the last, whatever. I mean, I've been professional since I'm 16 years old, so that's been 16 years.
Wow.
So yeah, so in these 16 years of working as a professional musician, uh, there was no other option. I could not do any other job. And yeah, of course, there's been some side things sometimes, but they were just side things, to supplement the income. But
Right.
I've never had a real job. I was just a musician, and sometimes I was teaching, which was my side thing.
Mm-hmm.
But music has always been the way. And of course, at the beginning, there was no money, and I had the support of my parents. And but then after that, I went on tour for about 7 years in Asia, from 2011 to 2018. So yeah.
I didn't find any of that online. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah,
Wait, so
from
that means you were like 20, young 20s when you went to Asia?
2011, I was 22, 23, 22. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were
And
back
I went for a whole year of contract. We did Dubai and Malaysia and Thailand, like 4 months.
doing what? What was your job?
That was a top 40 gig in a hotel, like a top 40 band. And so I've done quite a lot of different styles of music and different kinds of jobs in
Right.
my 16 years of career. So that was one of these things. Like, um, back in 2011, I was struggling to make a living just playing my own music and original music. And then I got this opportunity to go on tour for a year with a band based from Quebec, but that was going to tour in Asia.
Right.
And I was just playing pop music, whatever was on the radio at the
Right.
time. And for me, it was kind of a downer because I was like, oh, I'm a composer. I don't
Right.
want to play other people's music. But the pay was interesting, and just going there was interesting. So
Right.
go. I went there. I did a whole year, and then I continued for 6 years, like 6 years and a half. I think I've stayed in Asia and mostly in China. After the first year, I went to China. I did it some other countries, but mostly I was in China for about 5 years,
And in
living
China,
there.
you were also covering pop tunes.
I was also covering pop tunes, but then in China, I could also do my original music
Ah.
from time to time, and I actually created the Robo Jazz band, which is the live incarnation of my studio music that I'm usually doing alone or with session musicians. But I never had a steady band. But then in China, I created this Robo Jazz band so I could play my music there. And then when I came back here in Canada, then I did a new Robo Jazz band with the musicians that I was available here. And yeah, and then we did new albums. And now the band is kind of off because COVID
Yeah.
happened, and we don't do so much live music. So the band is kind of disbanded. But I'm still making music, and the last album was made in part with the musicians from the band and with some guest musicians like Lorna Lewis and Jordan Rudess and some others.
All right. I want to talk about selling out.
Yeah.
I had this interesting conversation with a very young, very talented musician. And the question was, because he's unemployed, right? He was brilliant, but he didn't have any money. And the question is, would you take a gig playing in the band behind Taylor Swift in her concert tour? And he's like, impossible, can't do it. And the rest of us were thinking, like, go make that money, and then you can play all the jazz you want.
Yeah.
It seemed, I'm guessing, Matthew, that maybe that was the calculus behind the playing in a top 40 band is that
Yeah.
enables you to
Well,
still be a musician
it
and then
was
you get to
about
feed.
money. For sure, it was about the money, but also the experience. And so at first I was like, yeah, that's I don't see how that can be good for my composer career.
Mm-hmm.
But actually now I know it was good because I, to be able to, f- because I mean, right now I'm a composer for myself, but also for other people. Like, people come to the studio and they want some arrangement done on their music, and sometimes they even just need someone to write the music for them. And so I write for myself, but I also write for other people. And to be able to do that, I need to know very well the kind of music that they want to do,
Ah,
and then playing, I mean, learning, analyzing, and playing all the pop music from 2011 to now, and even, of course, the classics. I know very well these kinds of music now. Like, if you want trap beats, I can do it. If you need disco music or funk or reggae
right.
or pop or rock, I can do it because I've learned all these classic songs, all the songs that people love. And so I think that was not selling out for me because I was still a composer.
Right.
I was just learning and making music and making money. I mean, but also it was fun. It's fun to play
Yeah.
music, even if it's not your own songs.
Well, it seems too, I'm just guessing, Matthew, but if you have a gig that night where you're going to play 3 hours, that gives you a lot of time to work on your passion.
Sure. Well, to be honest, for about 3 or 4 years, I did not write much music because I was so deep into the live thing, and I had so much songs to learn for so many gigs at the same time, which was good. But then I realized, oh, okay, I did not write any new music. I
Mm.
did not make any new album. I was making at least one album a year, but then for like 3 or 4 years there was nothing. So I had to go back to focusing at least a little more on my music, which is what I do now. And then the pandemic was not all bad for me, actually.
In what way? That is not what I'd expect from you.
Yeah, well, because I was already starting to be a studio musician and record keyboards for other bands or make arrangements for artists. I was already doing it, but it was really a one-off thing. Like sometimes I would do it, and then most of my income would still come from live music. And then the pandemic happened, and no more live music. But then the opportunity came for me to work with Jean Leloup, and he's a famous local artist. I mean, like the whole province of Quebec, and maybe the whole Canada actually. But he's a French-speaking, French-singing artist. And so right at the beginning of the pandemic, I got a call from him. He wants to do music with me. He wants me to arrange the new music that he's got, and so I got a good studio contract right away, and then that led me to do
Yeah.
other things, and then Chick Spain, the video of Chick Spain happened with Larnell Lewis, and I think that was in May 2020. So right at the beginning of the of the whole pandemic, I got this happening, and then my song blew up on YouTube and Spotify. That helped a lot. Uh,
Well, that's where this will not surprise you. I know it won't, but that was my entry point to the world of Mathieu Fiset.
yeah,
Can you can you tell us what that was in your words? Because I got my own story, but when you say Chick's Pain blew up and Larnell Lewis and Drumeo, most people don't know what you're talking about.
sure. So let's start. I guess I'll try to do the story like it actually starts in 2012. So it's a long story, but I can make it short. So actually, 2011, I was writing new music for a new album, and then there was this song that I called Chick Spain, and basically it's a homage to the song Spain by Chick Corea, a song I really love. And so I did this song, and I did it with a very good local drummer, Stefan Chamberlain, and some other
Is
local
Stefan the
musicians.
guy on your YouTube video with that and the original version? I hear
Uh, yes, yeah,
he's
yeah,
a beast.
yeah. He's really, really great drummers, and he gave the song that Latin feel. He's really good with Brazilian grooves. So when I got his original drums for the original song, I was like, wow, that's just perfect, you know. So this album came out in 2012. It's called Robo Jazz, and that was it. You know, it was not a hit. It was not. It was just. It was out there, and some people listened to it, but that was it. And then I was on tour, and I was in China at the time, and I did other things, and I did other albums, and there was a lot of things happening. But then I think it's 2016 or whatever that I found out about Drumeo, and being a drummer myself, I really love to watch all of their videos. And I saw somewhere that they had backing tracks, like drumless versions of
Right.
songs on their websites for drummers to play. And I knew that Chick
Wait,
Spain
let me
was a
stop
very
you right here.
yes, yes,
If you're listening, he just said something crucial. So if you're an amateur drummer like me and you want to play with a good band, you don't have an opportunity unless you're lucky enough to find a recording of a band without a drummer.
yeah.
And then you put your headphones on and you play with that band, and it's a really great way to be with great musicians. And that's what you're
Indeed,
talking about with Drumeo.
yeah. Like what we call a drumless version is like a version of the song without the drums,
Right.
and so I knew they had these kind of stuff on their website. So I contacted Drumeo, and I said, "Well, I have this song that I know drummers really love to play, because every drummers I've had playing this song live, I've had different drummers, and they always say like that's a very fun song to play. So
Right.
sure, okay. So I literally gave away the
No
drumless
way.
version of Chicks Payne to Drumeo, just saying like, you do great stuff. Here's one song, and they were happy to get it, and they said, okay, we will put it up on the website, and never heard about it after that. That was it. But then Stefan, the drummer for the song, the original drummer, he's also a very good drum teacher online and in New York and Quebec City. So he got connected with Drumeo to do a session, not a session, but to do a masterclass
Oh,
uh,
cool.
on Drumeo. I don't remember when it was, but I think it was probably the end of 2019, something like that. And then, so he did that in Vancouver. And then when he came back, he said, "Hey, Matthew, do you know that Drumeo, they made a video with Larnell Lewis, and he's learning and playing your song." I was like, "What? I don't know that." Like they Drumeo never told me. They just picked the
Right.
song and gave it to Larnell to listen. And the video was not out yet. So basically, Stefan was telling me, "Hey, just so you know, they
Right.
have this video ready, and it's gonna come out soon."
And can you stop though and tell us who Larnell Lewis is?
So Larnell Lewis is the drummer for the band Snarky Puppy, among other people, but mostly for Snarky Puppy. And Snarky Puppy is a jazz fusion band from New York, I think.
Yeah, I don't know where they're from.
Yeah. Anyway, they're from the States. And but Larnell Lewis is Canadian. Is from Toronto. So
He's a
anyway,
Canadian. I didn't know that.
yeah,
But
yeah. Actually, I did not know yet. I did not know either. But when I contacted him later, then I found out. Okay, so he's Canadian.
right, so Larnell Lewis is amongst drummers pretty famous.
Is very famous
Right.
amongst drummer, and he's one of the best right now.
Yeah.
He's really, really amazing.
Yeah, so he's like, as far as jazz drummers go, this guy's on the top of the hill.
Yeah. And so they had this masterclass of Larnell Lewis on Drumeo, and at the end of the masterclass, he played Chick Spain. But that was not it. That was just one. That was, he did the masterclass, and then he played Chick Spain at the end. But then there was another video where they show him listening to the song for the first time, taking notes, and then playing it one time, one
Right.
take, and it's pretty much perfect. And that video got viral because you see the process. You see, okay, he's listening to the song, he's taking notes, and it's not a very easy song to get, but he's taking notes on every hits that he have to do, and then he plays the song. And so that video got viral, and then everybody was like, "Well, what's that song? We want to know a little more."
Yeah.
So the song got famous because of the video, and then everybody wanted the drumless version to do it exactly like Larnell and just learn the song and play it along to it. So I made the drumless available on my Bandcamp
Hmm.
along with all of my music. And yeah, so I guess that's the story of it.
Well, yeah, that's where I met you.
Yeah,
Because I'm a big Drumeo fan. I just put that link in the comments, so if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you'll find it. Um, so Larnell Lewis, I don't think I just have such a man crush on that guy. I just think he's
yeah,
so amazing and so creative. And I learned drum set from a symphonic teacher, so I had a very old
okay.
school approach. And here's this guy with these crazy sounds in his drum set and this stuff that I've just he's amazing.
He's
And then he
amazing.
he plays this tune of yours, and he
He's
one of the things
even
I love
more
best.
amazing now to me because, of course, I knew him from Snarky Puppy and I knew him from the video of Chick Spain, but it was a one take deal. Like okay, I don't want to offend anybody here, but to be really honest, like I still prefer the original version that Stefan Chamberlain did because he wrote the drum parts for the song, and what he did was it was perfect. What Larnell did was to react in real time to the song, and it's amazing. Like he plays amazingly well, but he don't play the Latin feel like Stefan because he did not know it was
Right.
supposed to be that kind of feel. He never heard the drums. That's the special thing also about this video is that he's only listening to the drumless version of the song.
Yeah.
You don't know what Stefan did on the song originally.
All right. So let's fast forward. So you have this tune that drummers all over the world are going, what is that? We want to learn. We want to learn like we want to be Larnell.
Yeah.
So then what happened to your career because of that?
Well, I guess I mean it's nice to know that now a lot of people want to listen to my music or at least one song. But it got a lot of people interested in the rest of my music, and then I took advantage of that with my latest album because now I asked Larnell to actually write and record his drums on one of the new song, and so he can be the original drummer this time, and he actually really made the song better. And I mean, it was already a cool recording, it was already a cool song, but when we added his drums, it just got everything got better. And that's what makes a good drummer, I mean a great drummer. What makes a great drummer is that he or she will make the song better. It will make the whole band sound better.
You have there's recordings of you. If you start searching your name, Chicks Payne, drumless, you find an army of people of all different ages and skill levels covering your tune.
Yes.
And then there's a video on YouTube of you reacting to those.
Yeah, I
What
should
does
do
that
another
feel
one because
like?
there's been so much more since then.
What does that feel like as a composer to see these kids and a 56-year-old Colorado guy and to be not just listening, but we're having to study your composition?
Sure, that I mean that is probably the best feeling, really, because and also because I tend to detach uh, my composer side and my performer side, and that's really my composer side here because I love that other people play my music, and I don't even need to be there to perform. I just enjoy that they play my music,
Right.
and so that is a good feeling. And I've had emails from uh, music teachers in Vietnam and in China saying like, "Oh, we teach your song to our kids,"
Wow.
like, okay, wow, and so yeah, it feels great to know that your music is being played around the world without you having to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a legacy, right?
Well, yeah, and basically, a composer. I mean, I see my songs as my children, so they will grow up and
Mm.
go around the world, and I'm not gonna be there anymore. They are old enough to travel the world on their own, and that's also a thing that makes me feel a little better about the pandemic. It's like, yeah, I cannot travel, we cannot tour, but my music is still traveling the world.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wrote you a thank you letter or just a quick email because when I found that drumless version, I felt like Santa Claus came. Like, oh, the composer put out a drumless version. That's not normal to put out a drumless version. Can you talk us through
Yeah, I
that?
guess so. But I mean, it's not normal. But then I also realized that my, I guess my niche market or my audience, whatever, like they are musicians. It's not like mainstream music. It's jazz fusion, and it's
Right.
mostly instrumental. So it's not gonna be on the radio, and so of course it can be appreciated by most people, but the main target, I guess, are musicians. And so I think it's just normal actually that I want my fans to interact with my music, and one way to do that is to have the backing tracks and play along with the song. Actually, at first it was just a drumless version for the drummers to play, But then I realized there's also, saxophone players, guitar
Yeah.
players, keyboard players that want to play the song. So I did the backing track for all instruments. Like there's a version without the lead, there's a version without the bass, and so on. And I did the same with the new song called One More with Lorna Lewis also, and
Right.
Jordan Rudess, like my keyboard player idol. Um, so yeah.
Well, without at the risk of offending you, what's the business side of drumless tracks? Is there a market for that? Are you rich now, or
No,
or is it just too niche?
it's a little thing. It's just a little thing. Really, I don't sell much of the drumless version. Uh, I mean, of course, since the video of Chick Spain of Lorna Lewis playing Chick Spain, of course, that has exploded a bit, but not that much. I'm making most of my if we're being like really transparent and everything, like I make most of my money from YouTube because the song has been featured or included in so many videos, and some of these videos have millions of views, and so I get the copyright part of these video because I'm the composer of the music. So in YouTube, the money goes to the composer of the music. So most of my money comes from YouTube advertisement, I guess,
Right.
because it's on YouTube.
So like there's one drummer that covers your stuff I love. Some guy from I think Germany, like a 21-year-old college kid. I think that's right. Um, so he put up a video, but when YouTube sells ads, they know you wrote the music, so they give you a little tiny piece of that.
Yeah, that's what I
That's how it
understand.
works.
But I mean, I know I get some money, but I don't know exactly where and what is the percentage of that whole money that I get. I don't know. But I guess it's enough to pay the bills.
Well, I say congratulations. It's fun. And again, my first thought was that you're generous, and then hearing the story behind it makes me think, oh, even more generous than I thought. That you were saying, I loved your phrase. I love having people interact with my music.
Yeah,
So hearing that that's not a massive um, income source, but it's feeding a passion for others, which maybe
yeah,
feeds you a little
and
bit.
also like it's a whole thing. Like uh, you cannot make a living as a musician if you only do one thing. To make a living as a musician is hard, and it's possible that it never happens. Even if you work hard, you need opportunities, and opportunities sometimes it depends on where you are and who you know. But anyway, that being said, like what I'm saying is that it's really important to have many income sources when you want to live as a musician. And for me, that's like okay, I write and record my own music. You can listen to it on Spotify, but that's just a little bit of the money that comes in, and but these recordings that I make, like Chick Spain and my new album, this might not be the biggest income source, but it will make me look good as a musician,
Mm-hmm.
and so other musicians will see that and they will hear that and they will say, oh, maybe we can hire him to do music for us, or can play keyboard for us. And so it's almost like a business card.
Ah,
That it's like, let's say I have a client from, I mean, right now I'm working with some clients from the States that they are doing rap music, and they want their beats to be arranged, and I will add keyboards to that. And so they heard my music, they said, that's cool, we want this special touch on our music, so they hire me. And actually, that's, I make much more money with that,
right.
uh, playing for other people's, but they heard my music first, and that made them want to work with me.
That's so interesting for a lot of reasons, but one of them is, that's pandemic proof. But also that means you're collaborating with these people through the internet. You're not
Yeah,
in the same room with them.
yeah. I mean, of course, sometimes I have local clients, but to be honest, that's maybe not even half of my clients. Most of my clients are elsewhere. They can be in Europe, in Asia, in the States, in Canada, but just we work on the internet. So Good thing for the internet.
Oh, yeah. Well, can you walk us through how that works? Because from your the name of your last, what's the name of your last album? I've heard it.
One more.
One more, right? And it's got the exclamation point and the question mark.
Yeah, I got it here.
Oh, oh, nice. Oh, merch. That's the merch.
Yeah,
But
that's the shameless plug.
I
I've got
like
merch.
that. All right, the link is in the description. Check it out. Um, how does that work? Do you send? So you call up the musicians and you say, "All right, you want to play?" And they say yes. You're sending them your keyboard track and they play. I don't
Well,
understand.
it would depend on if it's my project or if I'm playing for other people's music. But let's start with my project, I guess. Like for example, the song "One More." I actually the one more have a long story, but anyway, I wrote the song with a trombone player in China when I was there, and we wrote the song together, and it was cool. But we never recorded it, and we just left it there. And then I came back to Canada, and so now, like last year, I was like, "This song is great. Let's do it finally," you know. And so I called the trombone player in China. He recorded this trombone part on my keyboards. So basically, I started with a keyboard part and I did a demo drum, just on my keyboard. I did demo drums and keyboard. Recorded the melody in Shanghai, and then I sent. I got the bass player of my band to record the bass on these tracks, and then the sax player recorded on top of the trombone, and we got it piece by piece. And then we were supposed to get Stefan Chamberlain to play drums on that song. But then at the same time that we were working on it, I was in contact with Larnell and Larnell Lewis. So I asked him, hey, so there is this one song on my new album that could really benefit from your playing because it's very fast and it should be powerful. And Stefan was great to play it, but I just knew that Larnell would be better for that specific song.
Right.
And so Larnell did these drums, I think, at the end. So we had the whole recording, all the keyboards, all the bass, the horns was all made, and then I sent that to Larnell, and he did this drum track, and then the whole song just got better.
Yeah. And you're right. That tempo is there's a
It's
lot
fast.
going on.
But then if I work with other people, it's the other way around. So they send me usually almost like a finished track where there is maybe the drums, the bass, the key, the guitar or the vocals, and then they would say, well, add your keyboard part to that. So
Ah,
I take that to my studio, I add the keyboards, and sometimes I add many keyboards, and then I send them the tracks, like separate tracks, so they can mix the piano and the synth, and then they do the mix. Or sometimes they just send me maybe the vocal and they say do something with it. So I make a whole arrangement.
when you're communicating with your musicians for a song like that, are you like for Larnell and your bass player? Are you sending them charts at all, or are you just saying, "Here it is"?
Sometimes there would be charts. For example, if there is a specific melody to play, I would do the chart. Or I would play a demo on my keyboard and I would say do the same but on your instrument.
Right.
For drums, I don't do charts because drums should be felt. and
Right.
and actually, in the case of One More, there was already a recording of it that I did live in the just rehearsal. So we had a recording of Stefan playing the drums to that song, and so I sent that to Larnell and I said, well, that's kind of the vibe that we're going for, but if you hear anything else, go for it.
Right.
And he did.
Yeah, because that has always been an interesting thing, hearing musicians talk to each other about the music. So I would just love to hear that conversation between you and Larnell about.
Well, with Larnell, it was very collaborative because at first I was giving him the basic feel that I heard, but then I was saying also, well, you can listen to it, but you don't have to. Like,
Right.
I was curious to see how he would feel the beat should be on the song. And then actually we talked on the phone just before he recorded. So we talked on the phone, and we kind of tried to see what was the best feel to start with, and we were pretty much on the same page for the overall feel. But then in every section of the song, for example, there's the keyboard solo, and then there's the trombone solo, and then the sax solo, and then there's a Jordan Rudess solo at the end. So I told him for each section, even though it's the same accompaniment, it's the same three chords basically, but I wanted the feel of the drum to be different from section to section, and he did that so well. It's crazy. He did one take. He did the song many times, but then what's on the album and what you can see on the video, it's one take. He it's like he went from beginning to the end
Right.
without any edits, and it just changed his part from section to section, and the build up is crazy. Like especially his drum groove during the trombone solo, I can't comprehend what he's doing.
Now I got to go back and listen to it because I don't remember what you're talking about.
It's like this song is like very simple in its purest form. It's like three chords, it's one melody, and it repeats the whole song, and then there's solos, but the drum part is really the difficult part of the song. It's really hard to play like that, and Larnell made it look easy.
Dang, you're interesting. It's I mean, everybody can, I hope you can tell I'm like such a massive fan, and I'm a new fan, which is
Well, that's great, and we're winning them one by one.
well, good. I hope we earn some more. Tell me a little bit about tell me, or changing topics. I
Yes.
know because I've seen video of you that traditionally I'm used to seeing people play keyboards that are flat, parallel to the ground,
Oh yeah.
and yours tilts away from you, so it tilts down towards the ground.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. Is that all you, or is that a trend, or like tell me about that?
I stole that from one of my favorite keyboard player called Jens Johansson, a Swedish keyboard player that plays with metal band Stratovarius that I loved when I was a teenager, and he plays like that with the keyboard tilted
Yeah,
like that, and I thought it was just cool. You can see the hands move, and it just looks almost like you got a guitar,
yeah,
but you know. And then I found out when I tried it, and I mean, at first it was for the look. It was just for the look, and I
mhm.
wanted to do like my idol.
You
But then
wanted
I
to be
found out that
cool.
yeah, I want it to be cool. But then I found out it's also ergonomical because when you play, like let's say I play like this, well, I don't know if you can see my wrist, but I'm just, my wrist is straight. I can when I play uh, on a keyboard sitting. But when you stand up, you don't want to have your keyboard all the way high so
Right.
you can have your wrist at the same height. So I was thinking, okay, so maybe if it's tilted down, the angle of the wrist stays the same, even though my keyboard is down there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So so actually now it's hard for me to do a gig and not have this special stand. It feels like my wrist goes like this, and it's not comfortable. So I prefer to have my wrists straight, and besides, it looks cool, and
Well,
people always ask about that.
I
So
guessed that it was ergonomics, but I love that it's a cool look because I hadn't thought
yeah,
about that. We love watching a drummer because you can see the drummer do stuff, and we love the sax player because you can see the fingers. And
yeah,
but the piano player, you guys are hidden. We can't see your
yeah,
hands.
and yes, and also I started playing with metal bands, and if you're the keyboard player in a metal band, you're pretty much the not the coolest. And so I wanted to be cooler, and I knew that my idol was doing that, and then actually there's a few keyboard players that do that, and then later on, like much later on, when I was getting into Michael Jackson's music, I found out that the keyboard player for Michael Jackson back in the day was playing like that,
Oh,
like in the 80s. So probably that my idol Jens Johansson took that from Greg Feeling game. anyway, he's one of the keyboard player that played with Michael Jackson, and he was playing like that back in the day in '83 or something.
Well, I love that it's cool plus functional, because like I
Yeah,
I do kind of giggle at the like in a rock band, they're good people who are playing bass or guitar have it so slung slow so low.
yeah,
It must be so uncomfortable, but it looks cool.
yeah. I mean, it's show business, right? So
Right. But yours is cool but functional as opposed to cool and
yeah,
uncomfortable.
but I mean, there could be some other ways to make it look cool, but I think for me it works, so I'm happy with that.
All right. I have a very specific question, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up because you've been really generous with your time. First of all, check out that link. Actually, if you type Mathieu Fiset, did I say your last name right? Fiset.
Well, Fiset, but actually, even myself, I say it wrong sometimes, just because in French it could be Fiset or Fisette. You could pronounce a
Oh,
T at the end, you know.
well,
But anyway,
I encourage you to type Matthew's name into Google, and you're going to find it. But
yes,
that Bandcamp is a cool site where you can download his music. I learned just before we went live that the quality of the music, the quality of the files is higher on Bandcamp, but
yep.
you can also hear
And
them
the
on
money goes
Spotify.
straight to me, so there's no intermediary like Spotify or whatever. And you can get my whole discography for 40% off. So every album plus backing tracks, 40% off. And there's merch with t-shirts and beanie hats if you are cold.
And who doesn't want to be cool? Yeah, so check out that Bandcamp site. Um,
Thank you.
and I mean, I'm so grateful you're here. I want to go off into the weeds on something you synthesizer players do.
Mm,
So there's times, and I can see you on YouTube doing this, where traditionally you're playing with two hands because that gives you 10 fingers.
yeah.
But at some point you sacrifice your left hand by moving it off to be able to have I don't know what the effect is, but you can vary the pitch with your left hand,
Yeah, yeah,
which
the pitch
leaves
bend.
only 5 fingers on the keyboard. And how's this for a weird I don't understand. Aren't you kind of
Well,
sacrificing something you want, which is both hands? Or how does that
sure,
work?
sure. But usually when you go for the pitch bend, that's because you're playing some kind of lead. And if you're playing the lead line, then you basically become like a singer or a sax player. You don't need to do the accompaniment anymore. And that's what the left hand is for usually on the piano. If I play piano with two hands, my left hand is going to do the chords, the accompaniment, and my right hand is going to do the melody. But if in a part of the song, all I have to do is the melody, I don't need to do the accompaniment anymore. So I can use my left hand to control the pitch bend, which will make my lead playing more emotional, more
Yeah,
felt, because you can play with the vibrato just like a violin player would do. There's a bunch of effects you can do with the lead sound. So basically, when you sacrifice this hand
right.
to play with the sound, you sacrifice the accompaniment, but you get much more expressiveness.
I get it. Yeah, I was just so curious about that because I mean, like, I love it. I hear it, and I'm going, "Oh, that is so cool." But
Yeah.
also, I'm thinking, "But you just handicapped yourself. So how does that? And why don't you do
Well,
that with your foot?"
actually, that's why on my, like, when we could do live shows, that time, when we could do live shows, I was actually having another keyboard player in my band. So I could do all the lead playing that I wanted to do without having to sacrifice the keyboard accompaniment. So I would have another keyboard player do the accompaniment,
Right.
and I would do just the lead playing as the lead keyboard player of the band, because I wanted to focus more on the melody than the accompaniment.
I'm telling you, you got to listen to his music so you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, if I call you and I'm a client and I'm offering you money to do the best gig ever, the best project ever, what does that
Hmm.
look like for you? Like, what is the thing that would make you go like, "Oh, that's my favorite"?
Well, I really want creative gigs all the time. Um, I've done the top 40 gigs. I've done the cover gigs, which is fine. It's fun, but really, what makes me interested is whether I can be creative or not, and to what degree can I be creative. Like,
Mm,
so sometimes the song is almost complete. All they need is a extra keyboard, and that can be creative too, because limitations can be inspiring. So if you have the whole song, and you have to find your little place in the song, that can be fun too. Like,
right.
you can find, okay, so what can I do that will improve the song? But then sometimes you get almost nothing, and for example, you get a singer and they only have their voice, they can only sing the song just like
Sure.
that, but they have nothing else. So you have to go on the piano and harmonize the melody, find the groove, and then you decide, okay, do we had drums, do we had bass, do we had an orchestra, and so if we have a client like this, we of course we need to set up what is your budget, like, if you want to achieve this level of quality, but you have $1,000, it might be hard. But so it depends on the budget, and also we ask the client what they really want to do with that song. For example, if it's a song,
Right.
let's say that the project is a song. Well, do they want a demo so they can show other musicians that they play like this, or do they want to have a song on the radio? Do they want to do a video? Is it a live thing? Is it we need to know what the client is looking for, and depending on the budget, what we can do. And sometimes I would do all the instruments myself because the budget asks for limited personnel, and then sometimes we would have a whole band, or an orchestra. But that's we I still haven't done any orchestra work.
Well, you are a young man, dude, and your star is bright. I can't wait to see where the world takes you, because it's going to be exciting.
I'm curious, and I've got a big project coming on that I don't want to talk about, but just that it's coming.
Is it a fun project? And that means, are you getting a lot of creativity in this one and get to do what you want?
Yeah, well, it's my music. I mean, all I'm willing to say is that I'm I'm writing new piano songs that are my original music, and then I'm gonna be collaborating with some amazing musicians to make the final project.
When do we get to know what it is? It's so secretive.
I think I'm gonna keep it a secret until it's done, because I don't want to spoil the fun or whatever.
All right. Well, all right. I ask every guest two questions, and I'm about to come to that place with you. Mathieu Fiset. His first name is spelled in the Quebec way, not the
Yeah, that's
American
a
way.
French way of spelling Mathieu.
Mathieu. So Google Mathieu, and then his last name is Fiset. Matthew, I'm an amateur drummer, but for my living, I talk to audiences as a speaker, and my expertise is all about social and emotional support, which means encouragement and acknowledgement and making people feel important. And I'm wondering, who is that person for you? If I say, who was the person who mentored you or made you feel like you could be something or made you feel like your music is special, does someone come to mind?
A number of person, and from different times in my life, I guess. But
Mm,
I mean, easily, for the first part of my life, that was my parents. They were musicians themselves, and they always had music around me, of course. So I grew up with music, and then they encouraged me to be a musician when I decided to be a musician. Not They did not push me to be one. I just woke up one day and was like, I want to be a musician.
hmm
I was already a musician, but I wanted to do that for a living,
Right.
and they supported me. So my parents are definitely a great. I mean, they were great to me to support me in what I wanted to do. And then I had a very cool piano teacher in high school, but she let me play the music that I wanted to play, not just the boring
Mm.
classical stuff. And that's important too. When you learn piano or any instrument, you need to play what you want to play. Otherwise, you don't get. It's hard to learn a song. So if that's not the song you want to play, it's not motivating. So you need to get a teacher that lets you do what you want to do, and he will or she will guide you
Yeah.
to achieve that goal. So I was lucky to get a very good piano teacher in high school. And then when I started playing professionally, there was a bunch of people that helped me. I was almost always the youngest in any band that I've played with. So I've had a few mentors, I guess. Um, I could name them all, but I mean, yeah, there was a lot of musicians that I played with that got me into some styles of music, or they helped me to understand the
Hmm.
jazz chords. And like one musician is a guitar player in Quebec City, and he's really into jazz fusion. And so when I was 20 years old, no, actually I think I was 16 or 17 when I joined his band, and he gave me a chart with all these, the like C
Yeah.
flat five, and for me, like, was like, okay, I know the notes on the piano, but I don't know these chords. I don't know how it works. So he helped me a lot with that, and some other musicians that helped me with the composition aspect, to analyze a song. And okay, there's a verse and a chorus, and so you can do the same. You can structure your song the same way. So anyway, there was really a lot of people that inspired me and mentored me, um, to become what I am now. Um, I don't know if you maybe you want to hear some famous names of musicians that inspired me, that you can check it out.
No. But because what I heard from you is what I really wanted was that feeling. As a the information is important, but that feeling. Does having a couple things. So you're a 16-year-old player in a band of adults.
Yeah,
That must have been intimidating.
maybe, but I thought it was cool, and for me, of course, I felt like the new guy and the youngest guy, but I did not feel like it was a bad thing. Actually, it gave me, if nothing else, it gave me the reason to be like, well, of course I'm not the most experienced. Of course I'm not the best musician in the band because I'm new and I'm young.
Hmm.
But then it was impressive for these older musicians because they were seeing and hearing how I played, and they were really impressed that for my age I was really at
Right.
another level, right? So it was impressive to them, and it was encouraging to me.
Right.
And so I was always playing with older musicians until recently, that now I have my own band, and they are all, or pretty much all, younger than me.
Well, I feel like I can see the movie in my mind, Matthew, of you being live with older musicians and having these people you look up to say, Matthew, you're killing it. This is great. I'm so,
Yeah,
you're great. That must have been so amazing.
it is. And I want to steal one quote from another keyboard player I love called Derek Sherinian. He was the keyboard player for Dream Theater, and you one of his quote was like, you should always surround yourself with better cats than yourself, right? And I think that's what I do also by getting musicians like Lorna Lewis and Jordan Rudess. I mean, if you don't know Jordan Rudess, he's like the best keyboard player in the whole world, and he's way better than me. There's no questions about that. But I invited him to play on my music, and that was a little scary. Yeah, that one was scary because I knew that I had to also play a keyboard solo on that song, and I actually did my solo after his. So the pressure was like all the way out there. Like, I don't know if I answered the question,
Yeah,
but
you did. That silences me thinking. Does being the recipient of that type of encouragement encouragement, Matthew, at such a young age, make you want to be a mentor to others now?
Yeah, I guess so. I I mean, I'm not. I don't see myself as a teacher. I don't think I have the technique or the experience to do it, but I've done it in the past. And once in a while, if someone asks me for specific stuff, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to share what I know. It's just I don't see myself as a teacher because I don't really have the know-how, and I don't have the technique to, let's say, start from the beginning of playing piano till, you know and get better. Because actually, I started playing piano when I was so young. I don't remember how I started playing, and I never been to school for music. I've had teachers, but I'm mostly self-taught.
Right. Well, that became clear to me when you told me you were playing in bands and didn't know how to read chord progressions.
Yeah,
You just knew how to play.
and still to this day, like, for me, reading a piano chart with the notes and all, like, it takes me years to do it. uh,
Oh, it's so fascinating.
I learn much faster by ear.
Do you? I wish I would have looked at this before this interview. When you see especially a young drummer covering your tune on YouTube,
Mm.
you're in a unique position to blow that person's mind by commenting on that video. Is that
Oh, I
something you
do.
do?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't see them all, but actually, so yeah, once in a while, I like, for the video that I've done where I was listing my
Yeah.
10 favorite ones. But that was already a while ago. Now there's some really amazing ones that came out since that video. But I mean, I think my favorite one is a guy called Dominic McNabb. Th- I think it's McNabb. Dominic McNabb is a young, 14 years old drummer from South Africa, if I'm right.
Oh, I think I saw. He's got a green background behind him.
Yeah, I think so.
That guy is a beast,
Yeah, he's crazy. He's going really nuts on the song, and
and he's doing a
um,
lot of this stuff.
yeah. He's like the we call that the gospel drumming, but yeah, he's really great. And then there was some bands that, like, the whole band would play the song live, or
Yeah.
I even saw one where they used a drone camera, and it was like, really, they really put their time and effort to learn the song and film the video, and doing my song. And I don't know why they chose my song more than another one to do this, but it's great to know it. And yes, I like to comment on some of these if I think they are good. I'm really always honest. So if I comment, it's because I really think it's good, and if I didn't comment, it's not because I think it's bad, and maybe I didn't see it.
That's what I was
But
thinking. Like, people who are watching you are going, he never commented on mine. Well,
but that's also the thing. Like, I don't judge. I know that some of these are beginners. They are young players and they want to have fun on the song. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be like Larnell or like Stefan, the original drummer.
right.
All I want is that they have fun on the
Yeah.
song, and if they share it online, it's even better. So yeah.
Right. I was curious about that because, I'm learning your tune and I'd be kind of, I covered a Dave Matthews Band song,
Oh yes.
and it took a lot of guts to put that up because I'm an amateur drummer and I did a pretty good job on it, but for me,
Hmm.
right? Like, so it's a little embarrassing. There's a little bit of, this isn't right. I can tell
Well, I
it's
mean, I
not
think
great.
there's different ways to look at it, but if you're a beginner and you're learning to play, or you just want to have fun, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just put it up. There's nothing wrong about that. If you have fun doing it, you just share it. If you want to share it to your friends, then share it. Uh, but then, for me personally, when I'm looking at doing covers, because I am an artist and I have all these songs that, as a composer, and so when it's time for me to do a cover song, sometimes I do. I really have to be careful what song I'm covering. Like, can I really do my own version? so it's not even comparable to the
Ah,
original, you know. But that's another level. Like
right.
if you're just having fun, you're just a musician, you want to play drums, and you just share it. But if you're an artist and you want to cover a song as an artist, then you have to be a little more picky. Uh, like I would like, for example, I wanted to do Spain by Chick Corea,
Right.
but I realized I'm not gonna be able to play it as good as Chick Corea, and I'm not gonna be able to play it as any other great piano player that did the song. And so I decided to write a new song, but inspired by Spain. And so that was my way of going
Yeah.
around it. Like instead of doing a cover of the song, I did my own Spain, I guess. And then on the last album, I did the cover of Herbie Hancock, called Cantaloupe Island, and it's so different from the
It's a
original
cool. That is a cool version. Yeah.
that you can't really compare like which one is best, because the two are great. That I think the two versions are great. It's just my version is way smoother, and it's dreamy.
Right.
It's not as groovy as the original, but it's more dreamy, and I changed the whole harmony.
If there was any doubt that I thought you were a cool dude, it's when I heard you say it's supposed to be for fun. I mean, if you're an artist, you have
Yeah.
one level, but if you're a hobbyist or a whatever, you're learning.
But even at any level, music should be fun. That's what it should be, or at least it should be emotional. And there's obviously many reasons to make music. You know, you make music to express your feelings, so that can be anything from sadness to anger to happiness. But you can also make music just to have fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Chick Spain is one of these songs that it's just supposed to be fun.
Yeah, that is well, it is. All
Yeah,
right.
it is.
Thank you for being here. Here we are, Mathieu Fiset, studio musician, no, everything musician. Does
Yeah,
everything you need, including composing really clever and interesting jazz fusion and Latin.
thank you.
What gives you hope?
Well, I think what gives I mean, let's put it in this context of the pandemic, is that I'm still hopeful that music will continue to be great, because I think actually music has become kind of better with the pandemic,
Mm,
uh, in a way. I'm looking a lot about I'm looking a lot to the pop music, whatever is trending. I'm actually curious about all this, and I think pop music has become a little better since the pandemic, because maybe that's just me, but I think there's more emotional music and less party music.
ah, can you give an example of a pop tune that you thought was emotional and good?
Um, Anything by Olivia Rodrigo, I think is good, or Adele. The last album is
Yeah.
really great.
What was the
Uh,
first name? Olivia Rodrigo?
Olivia Rodrigo, she did the driver license, which I think is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Adele, the whole album is great. Um, and then we have also Bruno Mars, that is making a lot of retro music, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool. Um, you know, I think there's more hope for music, for pop music, because some musicians actually do real emotional music, like for the Bruno Mars, like he's doing really like retro style music, which is really cool. And there's nothing wrong with party music, but I think it's great to have all this diversity now that, I think was lacking. Like it was all
Mhm.
about party music for some time, and now there's a little more emotions.
Deborah, Jason, thanks for being here, Deborah. Music is healing, and I think has helped many through the pandemic. Deborah, I think you're right, and Matthew, I think you're right. I noticed for myself early in the pandemic. Here I am in the states, doom scrolling about politics, and of course, worried about
Mm.
COVID. And I realized I need to get away from this and be listening to music all the time.
Yeah,
And
and well, I guess that makes me hopeful, is that to see that there is still a need, an urgent need for music. And even though we might have, I mean, maybe we lost live music for a while, but we did not lose music. And if anything, during the pandemic, people listened to music more than before. And
We have more
so
time.
I'm not too scared about my future as a musician, because even if I don't do any more live shows for my whole life, I'm still going to be in the studio creating new music that people will hopefully listen to. And so I'm hopeful for that. Yeah, I will keep on creating music. And I mean, yeah, it would be good to do live music again, but even if I
Yes.
don't do that anymore, I'm happy just creating music in the studio.
Mm. Mathieu Fiset. That was some wisdom right there. Dude, good luck to you. Thank you so much for all you do. Keep those
Thank you.
drumless versions coming. The backing tracks.
There will be more. There will be more. Yeah.
So generous of you, I think. Just so generous.
Well, I mean, it's generous. Yeah, it might be generous, but I think the lesson in the whole Chick Spain success is that I was generous with Drumeo by giving them the drumless version, but then that got me a lot of
Yeah.
positive and financial. Like, I got a lot of money as a result of Drumeo using the song in one of their videos that got viral. So it started with just me giving away a song, but then I made money with it in the end. Of course, I did not know it would happen like that, but sometimes you just have to send
Yeah.
seeds in the universe and see what happens.
I think that what you just described is a metaphor for life.
Yeah.
It's not just a music plan. It feels like that could work for all of us. Just give, and it's going to work out somehow.
Of course, you should not give away so people abuse you, but there's if you give away, it should at least make you feel good about it, and not
Yeah.
just give away because you hope it's gonna get you something back.
Sure.
Because I've gotten myself into some abusive situations in the past where I was too generous and then not getting anything in return. But you never know, of course.
Well, that's a whole other podcast I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking those are some pretty good stories. All right, Mathieu, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your music. Everybody, look him up. He's so easy to find in Spotify, Apple Music. But remember, if you're buying his music, as I am, go to Bandcamp, and that link is in the description. Because all of the money goes to Mathieu, and that's...
And I can make more music. That's all I do.
And if you're listening to this on audio, he's got this cool shirt. You need one. And beanies, they're all at Bandcamp.
Yes.
Mathieu Fiset, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Keep washing your hands, wear your mask. COVID's for real. Talk to you soon, I hope. Hang with me, Mathieu.